So, if you have watched my previous video titled I played the most unplayed game in my Steam library, you may have noticed I highlighted 4 games in that video. Perhaps you wanted to see what each one of those fabulous games had in store for humanity. Well, look no further, we will be diving into the second game on that list, a game that needs no introduction. Well, maybe. Crash Time 2. Crash Time 2 is an open world combat racing game. You play as a detective investigating crimes for the Autobahn police force. Solve cases, escort politicians, transport valuables. You are in the driver's seat, ready to burn rubber and destroy whatever gets in your way. Or at least that's how Google describes this game.
What?
I would describe it in a slightly different way, maybe even one word. Shit. But possibly charmingly fun. After reading that blurb, I was hyped up and ready to blast some steam. After loading into this masterpiece, the UI was straight out of 2009, which was nice because that was when this relic was actually released. Going into the gameplay, I didn't know what to expect from a game titled Crash Time 2, but driving in an unknown country with English accents,
we need your help for an escort.
Discount BMW was not it. From what I can work out, you play as a dynamic duo of crime stoppers that will stop at nothing to get their assignments done. One of the names was Samir or Ben or something, I don't really remember. The characters are about as memorable as any other singer in the Pussycat Dolls. So before loading in, I decided to take a look at the music manager, and I was not disappointed. Looking at some of these titles filled me with absolute adrenaline and pure testosterone. Nail Punch, Gasoline, a new nickname for your pal Gary maybe, Cold Kill, and my favourite, literally just beat them up. This is the sort of shit you make up in secondary school. The controls are as followed: WASD, shift to boost, spacebar to brake. Sounds alright? Yeah? Wrong. WASD makes too much sense. Instead they use the fucking directional buttons, and I'm still literally overcoming my carpal tunnel with my physical therapist. After loading in, I quickly understand that the guy I'm controlling is a sex-crazed maniac after spilling the beans on his dream.
Always wanted to work for an escort service.
Yeah, I bet you would. After some witty banter between Samir and Ben, unknown female voice number 2 comes over the radio to let you know the mission. Cobra Team 11 rush to the objective, trying not to wreck the car to 30%, which means something about the condition of the car. On the way, we discover the complex physics system by getting stuck on the world's smallest ramp, and then I lost the wheel, but the guys didn't see this as a problem and just carried on, which is a real Chad move in my book. One cool feature was this kind of real-time bird's eye view map that you could mess around with. Yeah, seriously pretty cool. So, on to the next assignment. I had to follow this truck. Sounds simple, but within 5 seconds I'd failed and my family had totally disowned me. Samir and Ben lost their jobs, the Cobra 11 disbanded, Samir without a job, Structure and best friend Ben fell into a downward spiral. Before he knew it, he was drinking every day, arguing with his wife, missing his rent payments until it all got too much for him. He still had his .44 Magnum, the first gun given to him by his granddad. He loaded the gun with a single round, put it to his temple and pulled the trigger. And that was the end of poor Samir's life. Until I pressed R and restarted the mission. After a while, I managed to reach this bridge, possibly modelled from the phone from Fish Village 2. Seriously, go watch that shit. 2 angry mums and their Saphiras race up the side, presumably late taking their children to Sunday League. They race up the side of my well-protected lorry. I realise this is an attack and step into full line of duty mode and decide to destroy these wags once and for all. I begin the chase on Colleen Rooney, and I intend on taking no prisoners. On the first turn I hit her with the perfect pit manoeuvre, but to my surprise this wag is unaffected, but that's what happens when your partner is literally Shrek. I continue the chase. After many hits later, she still continues to give me the slip. After literally nearly 10 minutes of chasing and hitting her Saphira, is reduced to a Tonka toy. She finally gives up. For some reason, after completing this, Fiona was left there by the detective because, well, why not? We go straight on to the next mission, which consists of nothing other than driving to a single objective and stopping on a stop marker. You get a whip about letting one of the other drivers go or whatever.
I managed to take out one of them, but the other guy was able to flee.
That's what happens when you try to go it alone.
Both ignoring that I just destroyed a car and left a criminal chilling in the front seat. I load into the next stage. It's a hostage mission. Now I'm thinking this is getting serious. Crazy chases, stopping bad guys, epic jumps. Who knew what this had in store? I make a speedy trip to the marker with a couple of scenic routes on the way. When I started the mission, I was in full ambition and great expectation. What I then did for the next 10 minutes was drive to 14 markers and stop precisely for 2 seconds and move on to the next one. Yes, this is part of a game that actually sold for real, actual money. Incredible. After boring myself to tears, the dynamic duo were very pleased with themselves for driving around aimlessly for some reason.
We came, we saw, we conquered. Another great feat accomplished by the dynamic duo.
Next step was to find the guy, apparently. We load up once again and drive. Over the radio, during my controlled carnage, I get this guy pop up telling me that we've got to stop some beer that's been poisoned and to get there right away. Now I thought the hostage situation would have been more pressing, but maybe Kevin Spacey got that gig instead, depending on the age. In light of this new disaster in transit, I get my skates on and dash towards a beer lorry. On my first attempt I failed because I had caused too much property damage, which is apparently a thing that the game definitely tells you about. On my way I pulled off some incredible jumps, only seen in Red Bull X Games channel.
Oh my god, he on X Games mode.
I found myself in a field with what appeared to be a load of taxidermy cows, so I proceeded to run them over. What happened next, I was not prepared for. Each cow burst into a fine ribeye steak, ready for consumption. After several laughs later, I continued with the assignment in hand, whatever it was. I caught up with the truck and stayed alongside it for 3 seconds and the world was saved. Turned out to be IPA punk, which is absolutely poison and is not right for human consumption. Stick with a ribeye. Eventually, I had exhausted every type of objective this game had to offer, so I found this menu which I'd previously missed. Car select menu. Obviously, I found this, a tanker. First issue I found was it was almost impossible to drive because you couldn't see the first 5 meters in front of you, making anyone with a slight radius of me soon to be an angel. Rip that guy. Now this is where the game starts to shine. I drove around destroying all the things, and here is a few examples of my demolition derby. Yes, the physics are not the best, but I did discover this random instant replay mechanic that was genuinely pretty fun to look back on. In this truck I was pretty unstoppable, so that could only mean one thing, and I had to know what could possibly stand up to me and my epic reign of destruction. That's when I saw it. A train. Not knowing what the future will hold for me on my massive lorry, I waited to see my challenger. Before long, I see it. I turn my indicator on as an act of defiance and I laugh into the certain death's face. Bring it on. In the end, I learned something. Don't fuck with trains. And Crash Time 2 is pretty poor. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.